Hello, this is Expressman, and welcome to this part 3 of our basic Stormworks building tutorial. Congratulations if you have made it this far. You are a boss, you are hooked for life, you will never escape. What we are going to do in this video is just some odds and ends to make this a more beautiful and more functional and more user-friendly boat than it has been. So awesome, cool, fantastic. Let us do it. So what is important right now? We need to add some gauges, we need to add maybe some glass, we need to add some seats. That's a small thing that's easy. Let's do that. I'm going to type in seat, and there's these little teeny padded seats, and these things are great, especially for rescue operations when you need to seat a lot of people, but this is a pleasure boat. Let's go ahead and enable symmetry. Note that the people sit with their knees to the side that the buckle favors, so that's the correct way there. Whoops, let's undo that. And I don't know if it's going to let us place one there, if there'll be a collision. Let's find out. It does. Fantastic. So cool, we can sit 6 people that easily. Again, I'm not going to sweat every little detail, but I really feel like that edge looks a bit severe. So let's grab our inverted 1x4 pyramid, and right there. Yeah, we could also just do an angle from top to bottom. That's not a bad idea. I like this. It looks, I don't know, it looks cool. Very nice. All right, a couple things. I mentioned we had forgotten a fuel port, so let's get to that. I think I'm going to use the section plane on blue, and let's just come back as far as we can and see where our fuel pipe angles over. I think I'll just do it in the center. Why not? So I'm gonna, oh boy, I don't know what I knocked out, but it was the wrong thing. Let's grab our red, since it is a fuel system. Let's put a T in there. Oh, come on. And then up above it, we will open up the deck. And then we need to get a special piece here. I'm just going to search fluid, and I will find it. Fluid hose anchor. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and leave it red so that I can always know that this is a fueling hookup. Sometimes you want to have pumps, but this is small and will probably work on gravity, so it doesn't need a pump. Literally all you have to do if you find a diesel tank is run a hose from it to this, and you should refuel. All right, let's add some gauges. Let's go back to our white color. And I don't know what gauges we want to add, but no, not gauge, dial. Let's do a dial and a gauge. So what we're going to do here is we want to see things like engine temp and then we'll use that is huge. I thought there was a small one. That is really huge. We could do a dial for fuel. I just didn't want to do a dial for fuel. Okay. There we go. So that'll tell us a bunch of great information. Oops, I was doing symmetry by accident, so that is not awesome. Let's turn that off. Unlike some games, separating an object and making it float does not make it on a different grid, so don't worry about that. Just reconnect it and you'll be okay. That looks good. We will hook those gauges up in a second. Let us get our glass canopy. I think it's called window or windscreen or something. Let's just scroll down till we find it. Let's see here. There they are. There's a couple options here: 4x4, 3x3, 2x2. I think. Well, let me grab the 3x3 and see. I'll dump it in here. It may be too big. I may switch it down to the 2x2. You know what? That doesn't look bad. It is actually pretty big, but it doesn't look bad. So that's a 3, and so, oh, I meant to symmetry that. Okay, well, fine. We'll just do it the old-fashioned way, like peasants. I'm going to have to hit, what, U on this one? No, Q. Well, close enough. All right, so, all right, so that's great, but then to finish it off, we're going to need, oh, that's interesting because it's going to suck air from inside the glass. That might actually be better than outside. We want an angled 3x3. There we go, an angled 3x3x3, and make it match up to this, like that, I believe. Where is it conflicting? Oh, with the vent. Oh. Okay, well then, first of all, let's put symmetry back. And second of all, I'm sorry, we're going to have to go with the 2x2 on the angle. Unless that is a 2x3. Which kind of 2x3? A flat 2x3 or a... Oh, that's definitely not what we need. Okay, I'm getting crazy. There's a 3x4, 2x2. All right, that was my original idea, and it is what we need. It's not going to let me place it there easily, so I'm going to temporarily drop a placement reference block. Come back to that. Oh, I didn't put it in my quick menu, so that was a mistake. 2x2. And then that will let me place it where I want to place it. We'll remove it in a second. And then we need either a bunch of 1x2s or a 2x3. I don't know if that's the right kind of 2x3. Let's see here. No. 2x2x2, 2x1x1. Might not have what I'm looking for. 3x4x4, 3x3x3, 3x3x2. Ah, this might be it actually. Yeah, that is it. Okay, sweet. So now we don't have the air intake conflict there. If I really wanted to stick with the 3x3s, I could have actually moved my whole air system up a block and that'd have been fine, but whatever. This isn't a big deal. It actually makes the boat look larger by using a smaller canopy. And now that that's there, I feel pretty good about erasing my reference block. Why did it? Oh, I see what it did. That doesn't make sense. That's not on the same plane. All right. Undo symmetry. There we go. Sweet. So we got the little windows there. That looks great. Another thing we want to add is, what is it called? I always blank out on the name. It's the tie-off blocks for ropes. Always blank out on the name. And then I read the name and it's something just super simple and intuitive. I'm like, why? There it is. Rope anchor. Yep, see? I'm going to place one there. So this enables us to tow it if we need to tow. I'm going to place one back here so that we can do the towing if we need to do the towing. Come on. There we go. Sometimes you want to put some over on the side, but this probably is adequate. Couple more little quality of life things. Let's go type in light. We can do a spotlight as well as a regular light. What we will do is we will put the spotlight on the front. These things are heckin' bright. You know, let's put it closer to the front. And then, not exactly sure, probably right here, to sneak some area lights in just so that we can see our way around the cabin. I assumed it was doing symmetry. It is not. I turned symmetry off. So now we won't get lost in the dark. And typically I would do one in the middle right here, but I already put that rope tie off here. So what I will do instead, technically boats are supposed to have a white light facing backward. So I'll just do that. You can actually adjust the brightness by changing the color, or you can also change the color too for that matter. Let me turn symmetry back on and say I don't want these to be very bright. I will actually just choose a middling shade of gray. Yes, it will color the whole block. I'm sure there's a smarter way to do this. And I'll worry about that recolor later, but that light will be less bright. So cool, we can see our way around. Let us add I don't think it's gonna let me put any instruments here. Let's just see. Button, I want to toggle. That's a push, that's a toggle. So push only activates, you know, in the moments that you're touching it, like our starter. A toggle is when you push it, it activates and stays active until you deactivate it by pushing it again. I hope this doesn't create a conflict. It doesn't. Nice. We're going to use that. I'm going to label it right away. Lights. That is, nope, that is engine starter. Label all the things. Okay, cool. Starting to look good. We could paint it. Trying to think of what I'm forgetting here. It's gonna take some logic to do the fuel thing. I will not be doing a tutorial on a microcontroller. However, your first microcontroller being a fuel tabulator is a great idea. Let's do a speedometer, right? We want to know how fast this is going, and this will actually get us into something a little bit advanced, but it won't take very long. So let's find out what our speed is, like while we're moving, right? That sounds good. We want to do that. So I'm going to turn off, and then we're going to go, I'm going to type linear, and under sensors is linear speed center sensor. So I'm going to add, I want it facing upwards like this, and that will sense our speed over water. And then we need a way for this thing. Okay, so let's go to logic. This thing outputs speed as a number, but read the fine print. The sensor's linear speed in meters a second. Well, unless you want to know what your speed is in meters per second, you need to convert it into something you understand, like miles per hour, like kilometers per hour, like knots. So we want to convert it into knots. There's one way we can do this. We could multiply it with a multiplier block, and then just look up, like on the internet, what the multiple to convert meters per second is, and then run that into our gauge, and we're golden. But there's actually an easier way. It's similar. Let's just label these. I want this to be fuel. And minimum value will be 0. The maximum value, I don't know. With those little cans, I'm just going to say 700. We'll learn later. This will be speed in knots. The minimum is 0, and I doubt this thing does much more than 20, so let's just say 30. We'll call this our RPS. That's the speed, the revolutions of the engine. We'll say 0, and the maximum should be like 40. You're in trouble if you're running up around there anyway. And then last we will do temp, engine temp, just to know we're not talking about air temp, and that it has to be between 0 and 100. Okay, so we got these things labeled. We need to convert the speed from meters per second to knots. So what we're going to do is go hit our tab, and we need to go down and grab, we have all these logic chips. They do different things. There's a blinker, there's a we already played with the constant on signal. There's a delay. There's some logic stuff. There's a multiplier. There's an adder. The adder is what you would use for the fuel tanks. And what we're going to do is grab a one input function. If you look over here, it takes a number and puts out a number per a formula. And let's put this inside. Do we have cabinet space in here? Yeah, we do. Oh, come on. There we go. Place that inside the cabinet. Let's go back to our logic mode so we can see actually our selector. And we can click on that. And what it's going to do is it's going to take the input, which is our sensor. So if I go back to logic, we want to put the sensor into the function. Then the output of the function, whatever the result is going to go into our speed KTS to there. But right now it has no formula. So this actually tells us conversions. We're doing a conversion from meters a second to knots. And if you notice, meters a second to kilometers per hour, meters a second to miles per hour, meters a second to knots. I keep feeling like I should just be able to click on this and that's it. We can type it in. So our input is always X times, and then we're just going to literal copy what we see below, which is X times, it is not in parentheses, 1.9438844. That's the conversion between meters a second and knots, as it just showed us. So now, let's see here. I'm going to make sure things are powered. First rule of Stormworks. Anything that can be powered should be powered. I think, again, these are mostly for backlighting, but let's just go ahead and power all the things because we can. And actually, while we're at it, let's go ahead and power our lights. Powering them will not turn them on. That may surprise you, but that is actually a very good thing. That is a desired functionality. Did I accidentally put a button there too? That's funny. But if you go to logic, you will see that all of the lights have logic. And we did create this button over here. If I hover over it, lights toggled. So we can control drag on all our lights so that it will, they'll have power, but we'll tell them to use it when we turn lights on. All right, let's spawn it in. I did accidentally put a button over there. That's funny. Anyway, let's see if our lights work. Yay. It'll be more apparent in the dark, but they work. That is excellent. And actually, if we look at speed, you see it bouncing a little bit because we are doing fractional amounts of speed, just bobbing here in the water. So we can sit in our seat. We don't need to touch the throttle. Start. We haven't hooked up RPS yet. Otherwise, we'd see a readout there. Just seeing an electric consumption thing going on. All right, let's get going. And you can see our speed reading, 7, 8, 9, 11. Let's go into high gear. So our max at low gear is 11.1, 11.2. And then we go up to 17, 18, about 18.5 in high gear. And you could play with the gearing to see if it can accommodate other things, but still a little bit touchy, but I kind of actually like the touchy steering. It feels very nimble. And it's very stable. Remember I talked about the wobbling concerns? Like this is, once it has like all the weight, it's pretty excellent. Cool. So that was great. Let's do the engine RPS since we were missing that. It's dead easy. So we're going to go back to logic. There is an output. That's temperature, and that is RPS. We can do both of those. Let's hover over. This is why we labeled them. That says RPS. And then we'll grab the other one, and that goes to temp. So really all we're missing in our little console here is fuel. Now fuel, you have to add, like just literally add number plus number plus number. We could do it the really, really janky way, and there's nothing wrong with doing this. And let me Get out of here, go to section plane, grab the green section plane, pull this up, and we could literally just go in here since we're playing with these things anyway, and there is an add that's greater than less. Oh, there it is. There's add. If we wanted to, we could actually just place a bunch of these and just add them up and then run that result, the final output, to our add the final output to our thing. But since I do have actually several microcontrollers for multi-tank adding, there's Fuel 4. I've programmed one myself. This one's pretty cool because if I want to, I can do like consumption rates. I don't really need to, but I will counterpoint our pump here. And now if I go back to logic, if you hover over it, you see 1, 2, 3, 4. That's for tanks. And if you hover over the tank, you have an output. So we just go 1, 2. So yeah, you can get this on the workshop. What did I just say it was? It's called Sum 10. And as you can see, it takes in 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks. If you have 3 or 2, it still works. It's addition. 1 plus 0 is still 1. But it actually outputs liters per minute, minutes left, total fuel, and liters per 10 seconds. Those are great numbers. Very useful when you're trying to like optimize your custom engines. We're not doing that, so all I'm going to do is go back to logic, hover over those outputs until I see, I don't want minutes left. Oh, that's the last one I checked, total fuel. There we go. And then we hover over our gauge that says fuel, and Shazam. We now have all the other gauges filled out. There is one last thing I'm going to do before we bail out of here. And remember when we turned our lights on with this toggle? You see all these other inputs that say backlight, 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 backlight. We can actually take our light, attach it to those 4 backlight items, and they'll just light up on the dash when you turn the lights on also, which is cool. You could also do something funky, like there is a there should be a red dot for when you're sitting on the seat, like a driver occupied. I think it's this one right there. Yeah, you could actually just like run that to your dash light, so the dash lights are only on when your butt is in the chair. You have options like that. On off is on off. It's up to you how you do it. So let's go ahead and let's save it because it's been a minute. And really after this, we just have to paint it. So we're close to done here. So if we sit in the seat, the other thing I would do is just make it so that the engine doesn't stall out if you go to throttle 0. But that's not a big deal. So we can see our RPS bounced as soon as we hit it, and I hit it too quickly. It didn't actually catch. Or is our throttle not at... That's weird. How did our throttle get lowered? There we go. That's why it's nice to see the RPS. That's pretty high for idling. You can idle at like 4 or 5. Lower than that, you're facing some stall off. Another gauge we could do is our battery level, but you know that alternator should be more than adequate. Our fuel is actually 740, so it's pegged out. I was a little low in my estimation, so I'd probably put the at like 740 would be like, I'd put that as the max. And then there's our engine temp. You can see it's getting really hot and we're just sitting here. Let's go ahead and engage the clutch, give it some power. Go ahead and throw it in high gear. You can see our speed climbing. You can see our RPS at 15. 15 is a pretty good number if we're full throttling it as we are. And then the engine temp, that's actually not bad because we do have a very active cooling system. That pump is plenty adequate for this little engine. We do eventually, if we're running very far, want to keep an eye on this to make sure that it's not creeping up into the 90s. I would be surprised if it did. It looks like it's gonna hit an equilibrium here pretty soon. It's good to know your temp though, particularly when you're idling with your clutch off, because as we saw at the beginning, you can definitely burn your engine up. Sweet. I do prefer the other kind. We're still a little forward leaning. It looks balanced now because we're running. So a little weight in the back wouldn't hurt. I'm actually surprisingly happy with this though. It's coming out pretty nice. Because it's a pleasure boat, personally, I would probably put a modular engine on it, make it a little overpowered, and make this thing sail on the top of the waves, but, you know. This is a budget pleasure boat. Alright, let's do the painting. Stick a pin in it. Now, we could we hit this paintbrush tool and then just start, I don't know what color I want to paint it. We could just start hitting it block by block and just drag and paint it. However, there's this great tool. If you click on the paint menu, there's additive, there's replace, and there's plane fill. Plane fill is a fantastic tool because it takes a given plane, and if it's not already painted, it fills it. It makes painting pretty fast. I don't know what I want to paint it, to be honest. I might go to the basic brush here and see if I can do this weird. I don't know if I can pull this off. That's really dark. Oh, you know what? I should be doing all of this in symmetry mode. It'll be doing it on both sides. And then maybe the light blue on top. Ooh, that was sloppy. Why am I doing this? I should be doing what I just told you. This. All right. And then let's go back to white on there. And I was trying to do this like, yeah. Let's go with the I like that better. Cool. That's okay. Yeah, and then we'll just keep doing the sections. I don't know. Does that look too gaudy? It is a pleasure boat. Looking gaudy's part of their job. I don't know, would it look dopey to paint the seats yellow? No, not necessarily. It looks kind of sporty actually. Let me go back to my beigey color and paint the. Why did it? Oh, because it's it's not in plain fill. That's weird. It shouldn't have done that. Okay. It's a symmetry thing. I thought it was doing symmetry. Yeah, we could do different things. We could try to put little steps in the back. We could, like I said, add some weights. We could do the balancing thing, although it kind of self-balances right now. We could go crazier with the paint. We could do custom paint blocks. There's a lot of fun stuff we could do here. But this is basically it. You should have an idea from this. Engines, basic logic controllers. Gauges, your numerical inputs and outputs, your on and off inputs and outputs, hull shaping, displacement, water fastness. Yeah, you should have quite a few good concepts here. We can see, the pink square still representing our thing. This is a fun thing to do. Get models from the workshop and do this like crazy. Just do section planing through them and just see how the creators laid them out, how they tick. And it's a lot of fun. And yeah, and then you'll start tweaking to see like how much can you goose up the performance and stuff like that. So, you know what, I feel like we almost need to do this like burgundy color on one more level, like that. Then we have like a stripe throughout thing. And then I'll just let the front angle, oops, let's turn that off. And I'll just kind of let the front angle stand for itself. That's cool. I like that. As you play with the paint, you'll do things that just feel more intentional. Cool, and then I could do this. Now it's making sense. Now it's making sense. Like when you play around with it, you'll hit on something and you're like, that clicks. That clicks. I like it. Could also just finish the top off like that. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's what I'm doing. Sweet. Well, thank you for coming to the series. Hope you learned a thing or two. Hope you're anxious to dig in and make your own super awesome builds. This has been Expressman, basic Stormworks construction. Hopefully in video soon we will get into maybe your first microcontroller. Again, tabulating fuel is a great one. And a couple other more advanced topics that make this game super fun, like rotors and I don't know, radar and glass screens and fun stuff like that. So have fun with this and have a fantastic day.